Welcome back to the Good Girl Box. I'm your host, Karen, and as always, I'm so grateful that you're here with me today. This space is all about breaking free from the societal and familial expectations that have held us back and stepping into our authentic selves. Today, we're talking about something that many of us can relate to: how to handle overbearing family members and, more importantly, how to protect your peace in the process. Family relationships can be some of the most rewarding and supportive ones in our lives, but they can also be a source of frustration, stress, and emotional exhaustion, especially when certain family members cross boundaries and expect more from you than you can give. So how do we navigate these tricky situations while staying true to ourselves? Let's dive in. When we talk about overbearing family members, we're often talking about people who, whether consciously or not, feel entitled to your time, your energy, and even your decisions. These could be parents, siblings, or even extended family members who impose their opinions or expectations on you. The tricky thing about family is that there's often a sense of obligation tied to these relationships. You might feel like you should listen to their advice or should allow them to have a say in your life because they're family. But here's the truth. Just because someone is family doesn't give them the right to overstep your boundaries or drain your emotional energy. Overbearing behavior can come in many forms: constant, unsolicited advice, guilt-tripping, controlling actions, or even passive-aggressive comments about your life choices. You might find that family members try to project their values, beliefs, or fears onto you, often in ways that feel stifling or harmful to your well-being. It's important to recognize that overbearing behavior often stems from a place of insecurity or their own unmet needs. But understanding where it comes from doesn't mean you have to tolerate it. Your peace and emotional health should always come first. One of the most powerful tools you have when dealing with overbearing family is setting clear and firm boundaries. But let's be real. Setting boundaries with family can feel incredibly difficult, especially if you're worried about hurting their feelings or facing backlash. But here's something I want you to remember. Boundaries are not about punishing the other person. They're about protecting yourself. Setting a boundary is an act of self-love. It's you telling yourself, I deserve to feel safe, respected, and at peace in my relationships. Now, boundaries can be as simple as limiting the amount of time you spend with certain family members, or setting specific rules for the conversations you're willing to engage in. For example, if you have a family member who constantly brings up topics that trigger you, whether it's about your life choices, your career, or your relationships, you can calmly say, I'm not comfortable discussing that topic. When setting boundaries, it's important to be firm but compassionate. You don't need to explain or justify your boundaries in detail. A simple, direct statement like, I need some space right now, or I'm going to take a step back from this conversation is enough. The goal is to create distance between you and the overbearing behavior while maintaining your peace of mind. And let's address the guilt. Family dynamics can make you feel guilty for setting boundaries, but I encourage you to let go of that guilt. Protecting your peace is not selfish. It's necessary. You are allowed to prioritize your mental and emotional well-being, even if it means stepping away from people who push your limits. Overbearing family members can drain your emotional energy without you even realizing it. You may feel anxious before family gatherings, exhausted after phone calls, or stressed out by the constant demands they place on you. One of the best ways to protect your energy is to be mindful of how much access you're giving to others. Ask yourself, who has a say in my decisions? Who do I feel obligated to make happy? If the answer involves people who consistently overstep your boundaries or cause stress, it's time to reconsider how much influence they should have in your life. You can start by limiting how often you engage with them. For example, if someone is calling or texting you constantly, it's okay to set limits. You don't need to respond right away, or even at all, if it's not something that serves you. Protect your energy by giving yourself permission to say no or not right now. And don't be afraid to create physical and emotional distance when necessary. If a family gathering or phone conversation feels overwhelming, it's okay to decline the invitation or shorten the interaction. You don't owe anyone your time, especially if it comes at the expense of your peace. One of the most effective ways to handle overbearing family is to stay grounded in your truth. When people push their beliefs, opinions, or expectations onto you, it can be easy to lose sight of your own values and desires. You might start questioning yourself or feeling pressure to conform. But you are allowed to live your life on your terms. Your truth matters. What you want, what you need, and what you value are all valid, even if they don't align with what your family wants for you. It can be helpful to remind yourself that you are not responsible for managing other people's emotions or expectations. You can honor your family while still honoring yourself. You can respect their perspectives without allowing them to dictate your choices. When you feel the pressure of overbearing family, take a moment to pause, breathe, and ask yourself, what do I want in this situation? Return to your inner voice, the voice that knows what's best for you. Trust that voice. It's the one that will guide you toward peace and away from unnecessary conflict. One of the key lessons in handling overbearing family is to always reaffirm your peace. Whenever you feel your boundaries being tested, take a step back and ask yourself, is this worth my peace? If the answer is no, then it's time to set or reinforce a boundary. Your peace is your priority. Whether that means walking away from a conversation, limiting your interactions, or cutting ties altogether, you have the right to protect your emotional well-being. And remember, protecting your peace doesn't mean you don't love your family. It simply means you love yourself enough to choose what's healthiest for you. It can be helpful to develop practices that keep you grounded, like journaling, meditation, or spending time in nature. These activities can help you reconnect with yourself and refuel your energy when family dynamics become overwhelming. As we close today's episode, I want to remind you that it's okay to protect your peace, even when it comes to family. You are not obligated to sacrifice your well-being for the sake of keeping the peace with others. Thank you for being here with me today. I hope this episode helps you feel empowered to set boundaries and reclaim your emotional energy. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a review, share your thoughts on social media, or send it to someone who might benefit from it. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Until next time, keep trusting your voice and honoring your truth.